Hello.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello.
I have no
Hello.
video. Oh, here.
Are we
Oh,
using video?
let's see.
There we go.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Stephanie. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Hi, Robin.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. Thank you all for making time. We wanted to make sure that we were able to get to Stephanie before evening because she's located in European on the European time zone. So thank you for taking an early morning meeting. So do we have anybody? I see a number with 610 is.
That's me. I'm just dialed in by phone because my headset works better on my phone than my computer.
Got it. Got it. Okay, good. I think we are waiting on perhaps a few more people, but we will be recording this just in case there are people that were not able to make the meeting. Then we can just share it with them. So I just wanted to let you know that. I'm getting I'm just getting a text message from Katie. So it says we are recording. Okay. How are we all doing? What bizarre times we're in, huh?
I tell you, I got the first message today that a friend of mine, her father passed away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's getting quite real.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
So it's, yeah.
Oh.
Where do you live, Stephanie?
I'm in Leipzig, Germany. But she was a friend of mine that we used to work together, and she's Irish, so her dad passed away in Dublin, and she unfortunately is in Borneo. So she lives there, and they work at an international school there. So just terrible. I mean, basically the nightmare that most people have right now. So
Absolutely.
I know it's, yeah.
I'm so sorry. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so you
So it's good to focus on this. It is good.
exactly.
It's a great thing. So
Exactly.
thank
Yeah, and we've got Claire who has joined us. I don't know, Claire, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello, Claire. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good, good. There's no need to join us by video, but if you'd like to, you're obviously welcome. We're all.
Am I on video at the moment?
You're not, but that's okay.
Okay.
It's entirely. You can if you scroll your mouse to the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a video icon, and you can use that to. There you go. Look at that. Wonderful. I'm just pulling up a list, so if I just disappeared, that's just me. Wonderful. Claire, you're doing the outdoor thing. That's fantastic.
Yes, but my lovely dog decided it was a good time to start making a fuss. So
Oh,
we've come outside.
wonderful. And where is everybody located? So I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, but we happen to be doing this whole isolation thing in far northern Maine, which is up near the Canadian border. Where is everybody else? Stephanie, you're in Germany.
Well, I'm in
Go ahead.
Sweden, but I'm from England originally.
Okay. All right. How exciting. And Robin, where are you?
Hi, I'm in the Philadelphia area. I'm a suburb of Philadelphia, about 20 miles south of Philly.
Okay, fantastic. And Stephanie is in Germany.
Yeah.
But Stephanie, you are not German.
No, I'm American.
You certainly sound like you are. That's
I'm
you
married
know.
to your man.
Okay, wonderful. Well, this is so exciting to me to be able to have this opportunity out of both necessity and a way to engage these kids where, quite frankly, we're out of school for the most part, which is like every dyslexic dream, right? And we have the opportunity to actually give them this positive reinforcement and allow them to take this time to almost reconstruct their entire understanding of dyslexia, because they're not being, sure, they might have some online learning, but they're not being bombarded by the negative things coming in the classroom, right? So we've almost got this this temporary, we hope temporary, blank canvas where we can kind of reconstruct their own understanding. And what's really extraordinary, and I'm doing a bit of this with my son right now, who is obviously very proud of his dyslexia because he's marinating in my messaging all the time, but he's also really, really down on school, like hates school right now. And this is, I subscribe to some brilliant work by a gentleman, and dyslexics always forget names when they're supposed to know them. He'll come to me. He was the one that termed the term learned helplessness. And he's extraordinary. And he also, over the last 30 years, has created a theory on something called learned optimism, which subscribes to this idea that you can actually learn how to be optimistic. It is not an innate trait. He has done years and years of studies. His name is Martin Seligman, and he has done decades worth of studies to show that optimism is actually a learned behavior, and there is a system with which we as adults or parents or mentors can create that opportunity for learned optimism to arrive or to sort of germinate. And so, ironically, we created disabilities classes way before I learned about his work, but I'm seeing now, and I'm doing it with my son, how we can start to take this to reconstruct and sort of reconfigure his understanding of dyslexia by inserting learned optimism. So if we want to talk about what that looks like, we can come back to that. But I just wanted to say there's actually like clinical documentation of the fact that we have an opportunity to like literally rewire how our children are thinking right now, and for the better, obviously. So let me just say how grateful I am for all of you to have taken our instructor training, for volunteering to help with this wonderful experiment. As I tried to make really clear in the instructor training, it's super, super difficult to mess this up. The reason why is because we have designed it for students to be able to learn autonomously or believe they're learning autonomously. So your job, as I said many, many times, is really just to be there as a supportive voice if they need to have any questions resolved, or if they come to a sort of a stalemate and they can't come to an agreement or something, you can just gently sort of say, hey, look, I'm here to help. Would you all like some help? And usually they will respond favorably and say, yeah, please do. So that's the number one, sort of role that we'll be taking. The other role is just to make sure that there's no bullying, that there's no negative language being used. I mean, kids will say things like, oh, I don't like that idea. That doesn't classify as bullying. That's just kids being kids. We're trying to work on how they phrase that. But we obviously want to make sure that there is no outright bullying, that there is no bad language being used. Essentially, we want to ensure that this is like a classroom where we can say to the parents who are enrolled in this, yeah, we've got an adult making sure that your child is as safe as can be, all things considered. So I just want to pause and see if that created any questions or observations. And sometimes I notice, and this is something you may want to do with the kids on the line, is that when people are not speaking on Zoom, it's always great to encourage them to hit mute, so that if they're doing the dishes or something, you don't hear the background. But then you've got to remind them to hit unmute when they actually want to talk. So does anybody, I'll pause. Does anybody have any comments or questions on that?
Not really, but
Not
I've
at this
heard about
time.
the... Sorry, go on.
No, I'm sorry. I was just saying no, not at this time. Go ahead, Claire. Sorry.
I was just saying that I've also heard about learned optimism before, and I wanted to know a bit more about it myself. So is that something that you have any information on?
Yeah, I can. Let me give you just a little bit of an overview. And if you look up Martin Seligman, God bless you, Katie. That was a muted sneeze. If you look up Martin Seligman, you're asking a dyslexic to spell. So Seilgmann, I think. He was at the University of Pennsylvania. He's like my hero. In a nutshell, the theory on how we develop sort of neurotypical responses to situation is uses the acronym ABC: action, belief, consequence. So when we take our kids in the classroom, the action is we get a bad grade. The belief is that we're stupid because we got a bad grade. The consequence is that the next time that test comes up or an opportunity study, we'll say, we're dumb, why bother? And that becomes sort of a cyclical behavioral pattern, which actually roots itself into our brain so that we get this Pavlovian response to the same stimulus over and over again. Learned optimism is essentially A, B, C, D, E. It's taking that ABC cycle and inserting a disruptive piece of evidence. I didn't do well on the test. I believe that I'm stupid. I don't want to try, except my teacher noticed that I was really good in my art class. That causes enthusiasm, E. Enthusiasm or excitement, I think is what the acronym stands for, that then starts to unwind that typical ABC cycle so that you get a disruptive piece. So better example would be action. I studied my tail off and I didn't get the 70%, I got a 72%. The typical belief is I'm still stupid because 72 is still, a C minus, and the belief perpetuates. A different would be the disruptive, hey, I got 2 points higher because I studied. I got 2 points higher. That's closer to a C than a C minus. I'm excited. Then the next time that opportunity comes up, there's a little bit more motivation, and then that starts to build upon itself, and it becomes somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So he's got an amazing book about learned optimism in children. And of course, like a dyslexic, I've read like a third of it, and I will eventually get through it all, but it's fantastic. So I really recommend his work.
Mm-hmm.
You were right with the spelling. I looked it up. It's Seligman.
I spelled it right?
Yeah, good job.
See, that's disruptive evidence that I'm not as bad a speller. Now I'm excited to spell again. So thank you. So the, transitioning into just sort of the practical application of this whole thing. You cannot hear me.
There you go.
I'm back?
You're back. Yep.
Thank you. Transitioning into the practical application of this thing, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4 people here, and Katie, do we have anybody else that's not on the call but has agreed to facilitate?
No.
No. So we've got 4 of us.
Yes.
And we've got approximately 7 working groups. And Stephanie, you've got children in 2 of those 7. Is that correct? Sorry, unmute. Thank you.
Well, I do have 2 children. I haven't gotten any messages about groups.
I'm grouping people right now. What I thought, because it's so cool that you've got like German American children and like they might have some detectable accent, and also because they're siblings, I thought it would be super cool to put them into groups separately, because I don't know about. I've only got 1 child and I don't have any full siblings, but I would imagine that this is an opportunity where it's probably advantageous for them to have 2 different things going on so that they allow some space with each other. Are my instincts right or no?
You know, it's a complicated thing. They're twins. So,
Yeah.
so it gets complicated. It's like, well, if one of them were to get you or your wife, then that would just be very unfair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're already like choosing who's going to get you or your wife.
Well,
so I'm like, oh boy.
The bad news is they're not going to get my wife. And
oh no, yeah, they both are fighting to get your wife.
well,
They love art.
Join the line. I'm right there with them. So this is going to be the entrepreneurship program that we're offering.
I know.
So
they have it in their heads.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So you just tell me if you'd prefer them to be in the same group or in different groups, but the idea is they're going to create relationships with either 2 additional kids or 1 additional kid.
Okay.
Are we allowed to sign up our children also? I would love to sign my son up.
Oh, totally.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure. And you know, one of the things, so what this looks like is I'm trying to do a couple of things. I'm flattered that Stephanie's children both want me to be their facilitator. I'm super grateful for that. However, what I'm trying to do is can you all hear me? Am I still going okay? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this, I'm trying to engage with them on a quasi-personal level through daily posts on iDyslexic, because I'm just going to be spread thin a little bit until we get more adult facilitators. And what I'd like to do is, for the beginning of the class, I will probably drop into, 7 of these Skype meetings, Zoom calls with each team, just to help sort of facilitate the beginning. But then what I'm hoping to do is turn it over to you 3 to facilitate the groups that you're in charge of. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that, should you find yourself either bored or eager to be of service, we're going to have 7 groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That means there's going to be 3 that can be picked up. Meaning, if you're really interested, if this makes you happy, I've got another class for you to facilitate as well, if you would like. What we're going to do after at 11 o'clock is I'm going to speak to all the parents of these students that are enrolled. We've
Alex,
got
I need a plug now. Please, baby. Come on. I've just been kicked out the meeting. Come on.
Claire, we're right there with you. We need the plug. Get the plug, Claire. I feel your pain. So one of the things that we're going to try to do is see if some of these parents are interested in facilitating.
If you need another person, I think I know someone who would be super duper happy.
We would love to.
Do that. She was our former learning support teacher. She's now in China, but I think they're also on lockdown, and she's amazing.
That would be extraordinary. That time difference would be a little bit challenging, but
Yeah,
I would
that's what I was thinking.
absolutely, yeah, no, I would absolutely love to entertain. Why?
Actually, I have a couple of suggestions for you, so I can I don't know, talk to you later about that or something.
That would be awesome. Thank you for that. And I've got to tell you that I've never taught my son this class, believe it or not. And despite that, when I am working with students, it's like it sends body tingles through you. They're so amazing and sweet and vulnerable, and you start to watch them develop you start to see their confidence emerge in front of your eyes. It's absolutely extraordinary. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. So yeah, I'm going to be doing, 7, conference calls a day or whatever, but it's kind of like charging my battery in a really spiritual way. So just know that's actually really incredibly rewarding. So
Dean, I may have some other people that I can reach out to as well. Can you just give me a sense of what the time commitment is?
Absolutely. And that's a great segue. So, watching that teacher training, for an hour, right? That's the first thing, just so you understand. The second thing is really, I think it'll maximum be probably 2, at most 3 hours a week, with maybe, half an hour of watching the videos for a specific Zoom in-class meeting.
So it's like a prep session?
A prep session, exactly. So I'm all over the place. Claire, welcome back.
So sorry about that.
Totally, no, we were all with you. We've all been on the empty battery. I totally dig it. So let me try to make sense out of what I think this is going to look like. And I'll speak just hypothetically with my son's class. Okay. So I designate Bodhi with 2 other students. Stephanie, is one of your children there? What's that?
Sorry, they're both here.
Hey, can I say hi to them?
Yeah, come say hi.
Hi.
That's Sienna.
Sienna, how are you?
Good.
Good. And who is this?
This is Grace.
Grace. I knew you was Grace and Sienna. Wow, you 2 have got some of the longest hair I've ever seen. You know what? I'm growing my beard just to document how long we're in social isolation. So if it really goes on a long time, I'm going to look like Santa, because see all this gray? It's going to probably be white by the end of the day. So I'm so excited for you to be in class with us. This is going to be so cool. Thanks for taking the time.
They're like,
All right. Yeah, I'm super excited. So let me go back to that hypothetical. So let's say Bodhi and Sienna and Sienna.
yes, good lip reading.
Sienna.
Yes, Sienna.
Thank you. So let's say Bodhi, Sienna, and Charlie are all in a group together. What they're going to each have is access to our online platform, either through the parents' email or through their individual email. It's up to you. It's up to the parents. What that will mean is that they will have module 1, class A and B. Class A is our traditional model where they have all the videos. It only amounts to about, at most, probably 18 minutes is the longest series of videos for Class A. So that is self-paced, right? So Bodhi and Sienna and Charlie all do that on their own, and they agree on when it'll be complete. Then Class B will be the Zoom part of that. That will be predetermined by the parents, the students, and you as the facilitator. So I say, well, we're going to do this over lunch, and we're going to say we will have 2 Zoom meetings a week. Okay, so that means that Bodhi, Sienna, and Charlie, we'll call them, the A team. The A team is going to be responsible on, say, Monday, Tuesday, for watching those 18 minutes at their leisure. Then on Wednesday at noon, we're all going to jump onto a Zoom conference like this, okay? And I'm the facilitator. You 4, let's call them 3 students, just have watched the special sort of instruction class B video, which I'm making up right now. It's in the basement of the house in front of a black comforter with a light shining on my face. It's totally budget, right? But I'm saying, hey, look, when you all get into your Zoom meeting, what I want you to think about is working on the blue goo experiment. And when you're coming up with the blue goo experiment, this is what I want you to think about. That instruction is maximum going to be about 8 minutes. So they go, okay, great. So at 11:30 on Wednesday, Bodhi and I say, okay, let's watch the instruction. Okay, all right, great. We know what we're going to do, right? And then we all Zoom in. Am I still coming? My sound is still okay? Okay, it's getting a little quirky on my end. So we all jump onto the Zoom, okay? And I'm the facilitator. I say, hey, great. I'm so glad you all got on. Hey, you're on mute. I can't hear you. Okay, worked all that out. Terrific. Listen, we got an hour. You know what Dean was saying in the video, right? We're going to work on blue goo, and I'm going to be in observing position. I'm here to help. But basically, I'm going to drink my coffee and just be here if you need me. I'm going to go on mute as Dean is the teacher. And then the 3 of you as students start jabbering away. Oh my gosh, imagine if you could take blue goo and do this and you could throw it off a building and then it would become big. And okay, great. And then we're at, let's say, 45-minute mark. Okay, guys, we got about 15 minutes. We can do 20 minutes, whatever it may be. It's up to you. But we now have to come up with a final idea because we're going to actually sort of either write it or video record it or verbally record it and upload it to the iDyslexic classroom for the A team. And in the iDyslexic classroom, there's Dean is there. There is Dean's dad, Bodhi. Bodhi is in there. There is Stephanie and Sienna. And then there's Charlie and his mom. And they can all see what is uploaded, and it's totally private and totally secure. So it's not public facing. So I can check in and I don't know, I haven't worked out the classroom thing yet, but I can check in or I can post something and say, wow, I never thought of blue goo being used that way. Awesome job. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with for the next one. So that's Wednesday, end of class B. Everyone goes off. We've agreed on Friday we're going to have class B module 2. So Thursday, they watch class A videos. Right before at 11:30 on Friday, they watch that little budget version of class B prep. And then you facilitate Friday's session saying, okay, so Dean said you all have to come up with a team name. And he talked about mindfulness. Is that something you all want to try to do? And everyone said, no, yes, whatever. Okay, great. If we want to do mindfulness, let's try that. I'm going to do this here. And then the next thing is we've got to identify a problem. So we've got about a half an hour. I'm going to sit back, drink my cup of coffee. You guys come up with a problem that you all identify with. And I'll give you a 10-minute warning when we're getting to the end, okay? Terrific. And so on and so forth. So there's a bit of coordination that's going to happen in the beginning, mostly I think parents, coordinating with other parents. Hey, I'm on Mountain Time, you're on Pacific Time. We can do it at 1, you are noon. Perfect, that'll work. Great. And we as parents and facilitators obviously have to help with some of that executive functioning, right? Just to get the kids into a routine. But if this works the way I've seen it work, you're not going to have to remind them of their Zoom time. They're going to know. They're going to be like, oh man, we're going to get on. We're going to talk about it. I've come up with some great ideas. They're going to be excited to get on with their buddies. And the more they do that, the more we can actually retreat into the back. Pause. Any questions?
That's fantastic.
You all are quick studies. Really? No questions on that?
It's a lot, but I kind of feel like we'll learn as we go.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. I think that's the key. Yeah. It's going to be a learning experience. And I'm just saying this from the inside as I'm learning what you're going to be doing. I think that's exactly it. You're going to feel it out and you're going to figure it out. That's my 2 cents.
And it's also a great time. I mean, I totally invite you to be like, you know what? I'm an adult and I'm going to make mistakes facilitating this. So how about you all can bear with me? And by the way, if I have any tech questions, like you're younger than 18, which means you can do it better than me, please help me. Okay. And like the idea is to transfer that power of adults know everything to adults are just grown up, older versions of me who are still trying to find their way in life. And the more we can be vulnerable, the more they can get that sense of empowerment. Well, oh, my dyslexic ingenuity, I can totally create like, a Zoom quadrant. Why are they doing this wrong? And then report back to us because they're helping us. So it's really just to allow them to realize like they're smart as whips and they can totally help us get this thing better.
I'm excited to get started, actually. I think it's going to be really fun for the children and really fun for us as well to see how fantastic they can be when they're left the opportunity to really shine,
Yeah. They're going to come up. I guarantee there's going to be some groups that come up with like solutions to, getting groceries during, lockdown, Corona lockdown. There's going to be, inevitably there are students, there's something amazing about dyslexics. They are so compassionate and big picture oriented that some group always tries to solve, pollution in the oceans, climate crisis, rising sea levels. Like they're always tackling this stuff. And when I was first teaching this, I had one group of 6th graders, I think. They were like, we're going to create a barge that goes out and like picks up and recycles trash on the open seas and then compacts it on board and then sells it to recycling plants. And I was like, okay, that's a great idea. I don't know about that feasibility, but I was thinking that, not saying that. And literally 2 months later, I came across a news article of a Belgian billionaire with dyslexia who had created a barge that was going out and accumulating ocean trash and recycling it on board.
Amazing.
I was like, okay, I'm going to shut up now and let you all take over. So that's how cool it is to watch these kids. And when they start to become unbridled, it's extraordinary what they come up with. But they're really tentative and they're really shy at first. And that's part of the sort of the emotional triage that we have to do in the beginning. And then they turn a corner and you can't shut them up. It's like, wait, guys, look, I've got to go. I've got to go get my workout. And they're like, no, look, we don't need you. You can Skype out, okay? You can Zoom off. Like, we'll continue. All right. I mean, like, it is the most amazing thing to see. So
actually, what do you think about that, actually? Is that kind of okay if we let them continue?
I think that we have I hate the time limits of a traditional school day because the kids get all jacked up and then the bell rings and they've got to stop, right? That momentum gets lost and that saddens me. Because I have conveyed to parents that there is going to be a facilitator to ensure that there's no bullying and stuff like that, the solution is that, right? You just turn off your video, You can still hear audio, but I think that the kids, you could say, hey, look, I'm still on. Can you hear? You can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is you could say, hey, look, guys, I've got to go make lunch for my kids. I'm just going to turn off the video, but I'm still here if you need me. And then they like eventually that little logo in your representing me, it's going to become ignored. They're going to start chattering, and you go, hey guys, I heard, let's not use the word crap. Okay. Can we use a better word? Can we call it garbage? Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm going back, and there we go. So parents feel where their kids are good hands, and you can go and work out. Seriously, just plug in your headphone and hit mute and go work out. Do whatever you want to do.
Mhm.
So Dean, will you
I
be
have one
sending us a
question.
facilitators? I'm sorry.
No, carry on. It's fine.
I was just going to say, are you going to send us a facilitators guide that's going to kind of give us the role that we walk through, or the video prep sessions, the facilitators guide?
The video prep sessions are what I've tried to do to lighten your load, but Katie can send you a PDF of the curriculum materials book. Please, obviously, keep this confidential or keep it to yourselves. For those of us in the United States, I would normally send you one, but I want to keep Katie healthy, because if Katie goes down, then the organization goes down. So I'll PDF it to you, please, if that's all right. And there is so much language in there that you all are you're experts in dyslexia because you've got dyslexic children, but you can actually go and see the scripts, the teacher scripts that you could read out if you wanted to. But I'm trying to take a lot of that burden off so that you can look at, the lesson plan for the class B, but you won't need to implement quite so much of it because I'm trying to prep them on that.
That's
Great,
good.
thank you.
Thank you. I just wondered, with bullying, for example, if you've got a child perhaps who's saying things like, oh, that's a stupid idea, are you that thick, that kind of thing, how would you approach that in this kind of setting? Because I tend to use body language quite a lot, or you just kind of, in a classroom setting, you can literally just stop and look at the child and they'll go, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
So we've given you a huge asset, which is in the very beginning, they're being taught conflict resolution and negotiation and active listening. So we've given them a lot of the fundamental social emotional learning tools to engage each other in that way. Ironically, a lot of dyslexic students, I think, in this environment where they've got to face, they're accountable, right? They're going to be less inclined. I hope that bullying will not be much of an issue, but the language is an opportunity for us to, hey, whoa, excuse me, could you say that a little bit differently? Because remember, and this is the second asset we've created, your job is you are doling out seed capital. Okay, so these kids are creating businesses. This is fictitious money, and I make that very clear because we've had a lot of kids be like, what? You're not giving me $100,000? I'm like, what? All right, so I've made that very clear. But they know that your job as the facilitator is then to award them seed capital for their entrepreneurial endeavor at the end of every class. So 0 is an opportunity to say, hey, Charlie, to be honest with you, everybody worked really well as a team, but you use the word stupid. That doesn't fly in an entrepreneurial environment. It doesn't fly anywhere for that matter. So unfortunately, the team gets a 0. If the next class, Charlie comes back, and please, if you do experience any of that, please contact us by email quickly, and we'll reach out to the parents, and we'll try to triage that on the back end. But I think that if Charlie re-engages, you'll be pleasantly surprised by how quickly his tone changes. Because if Charlie can say, hey, look, I hear your idea. I respect it, but I've got one that I'd like you to hear too. Then all of a sudden you say, you know what, guys, you hit a couple of bumps along the way, but Charlie, the way you spoke, you made up for those bumps. You guys are getting maximum investment this class of $20,000 because Charlie, you became a leader in the way you communicated. And I want to acknowledge that. So you've got 0, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 US, sorry, because the euro, I don't want to get into conversions, but the idea is that they will start to, the gaming system is ironically very persuasive. The older students, 15 years old, they're like, whatever, dude, come on, I get it, right? But the younger ones get really engaged in it.
So Dean, I just have a quick question for you. My facilitation background is more so in corporate America, dealing with adults, and believe it or not, we have to have these same conversations with adults,
Yes.
Probably more so than even with children. But typically what we do in the beginning of the session is we'll set up team norms or ground rules for the way that we're going to engage with each other. We'll even go as far as to say, let me give you some ways to deal with those types of things. For example, if you hear something that you disagree with, the language we'd like to hear you say is, Dean, I hear what you're saying, but from a different perspective, so you're kind of not saying, well, that was stupid, so that we get to the point where all ideas are good ideas. Do you have any kind of team norms like that you use, or ground rules that you like us to set the stage with?
Yeah, you please, if I'm sorry to ask you to look at the student-facing videos, but I think you'll find them really informative because those ground rules are really sort of laid out, and the idea is that they are, they're not corporate insofar as we've got the 4 pillars of proactive communication skills. So it's
Right.
more organic, but it's very explicit, and it's all couched. What we've tried to do is there's really 3 components at play here. The first one is you're dyslexic. You've got these cognitive reasoning skills. We're here to exercise those muscles to make them stronger. Second thing is everything we're teaching is how to become an entrepreneur or an innovator, right? So it's got a context. And then the last thing is the social emotional intercommunication piece on how to become an effective communicator in an entrepreneurial environment is fundamental on how successful or unsuccessful you are going to be as an entrepreneur. So what I tried to avoid are we all, some of us are younger than others, me being the outlier as the old gray man. But the idea is that the school assemblies that I went to, somebody would be on the stage talking about why empathy is important. And it was such an abstract idea that I think most kids were writing notes or pinching each other, right? What we're trying to do is illustrate why empathy is important, because with empathy, you're going to understand your customer, and therefore you're going to have a more effective product because you're understanding your perspective of your other. So we're doing it, but we're creating context so that they have motivation to understand empathy. Now, ultimately, we hope that spills over into general behavior, but that's really the idea.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, Robin, you just made a fundamental error, sister. You just said that you are a corporate coach. Whoom, I'm going to grab a hold of that. Okay. One of the things that I would love to see that we haven't had a chance to, because literally I'm going into the basement studio today to finish off all these videos. One of the things that I really, really want to do is be able to have a PDF that distills the sort of the instruction for Class B into, really simplified bullets, like create blue goo exercise, or, play blue goo experiment, name company title, whatever. And eventually maybe my South Korean graphic designer can spruce them up a little bit, but I'd love to have a visual sort of PDF for them to be able to download to say, okay, this is the game plan for this session. We got to do these things.
So expected outcomes for that session.
Yeah, it's all written in the lesson plans for you as a facilitator to understand what the expected outcomes are, but it's not necessarily explicit for the student to say, oh, these are the things we've got to do, and these are the products that we've got to have by the end of the session. But I think that's a huge tool. And the beautiful thing, Robin, is that the way we're calling it Entrepreneurs and Innovators 2020 Special Edition, as opposed to like, pandemic scare tactic edition. Like we're just like special edition, right? When I can insert these PDFs, literally, I may not finish all the videos for Class B today, but I know that I'm a week ahead of all the students, right? So as long as I stay ahead, so meaning anything that you create, it can be done, if you go ahead one module, then I can upload it and we're ahead of the general trajectory of the students. So there's no, if you choose to take this voluntary contribution opportunity, there won't be an expectation to like get 10 PDFs cranked out. Nothing like that. We can do it very much real time.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to look at it for you and see what I can do.
Thank you.
Sure.
What else do we have? Anything else? Any other questions?
Just the time difference, really. Here in Sweden, the children are still in school.
Yes.
I think much older children have been dismissed and very, very young children, but other than that, everyone's attending. We have Easter break a week from now, and they finish our time 2-3 o'clock most days.
Perfect.
But looking at this today, it works really well for us anyway. So right now here, it's 4:45 in the afternoon.
Yep.
So it's not really a problem, I think.
Yep. What I'd like to do with you, Claire, and is I'm going to try to match up kids who are on the East Coast. So they're only 5 or 6 hour difference. And when we start to coordinate the Zoom calls for those students, I think that what we'll target is a midday meeting Eastern Standard Time and a early, late, 5, 6 p.m., pre-dinner session on your end, if that works.
Yeah, that's fine for me. To be honest, I'm fairly flexible for myself. The children, it's more relating to bedtimes. I was concerned that how late might it be for my children actually participating with their facilitators. Because obviously I'm a grown-up. I'm up till 10, 11 o'clock at night without an issue, but I don't want the children necessarily when they have school the next day.
Yeah.
So.
Now you've got a child who's enrolled, right?
I've got 2 enrolled. I have Henry, who's 13.
Yes.
And Alice, who's 10.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm sorry, I don't have everybody's kids' names memorized.
And he already has. He's diagnosed with.
Sorry. Yeah. So I actually I loved and Stephanie, you're going to get back to me about the girls and whether or not they want to be in the same class, but I'm just looking at oh yeah. So I put is it Henry or is it Henri? Henry. So I put Henry actually in my son's class because I love the idea of him hanging out with a quasi-Swede, quasi-English, right? I just love that. And then Alice, I've got some people from Texas and a couple of other cool students. So. And from Colorado, so that might be a little bit of a challenge with time, but we'll make it work.
Yes, that's
and
awesome.
So you are you willing to facilitate those two groups?
I'm happy to facilitate whichever groups you want me to. I'm quite flexible in my time at the moment. So
Thank you. Is it better? Just on the mom-child dynamic? Is it better for you to facilitate your own students, or is it your own children, or would they prefer mom to be doing something else?
I think they'd actually quite like to have somebody else if that's possible.
Yeah, right. Cabin fever. I hear you.
Yeah, maybe they get sick of my face sometimes.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, I will. Katie, can we make note of that, please? Thank you. And great. Well, this sounds like fun. Do you all have any other questions? I'm about to meet with the parents, and you're more than welcome to Skype in for that too if you want to. Katie can send you the Zoom invite, but I can't imagine you want to listen to this all over again. But if you do, you're more than welcome. Is there any?
I think. Sorry to interrupt. I already sent it to Stephanie and Claire Ann. Robin, do you want to sit in on that too?
Is everybody else sitting in on it?
I just sent it to the parents that had enrolled for this session. So it's up to you.
So,
I think you can get something from it.
I actually have something to do right after this call, so I probably won't sit in on the call. But Katie, when you have time after that call offline, I'd like to talk with you about enrolling my son in the program as well.
That's perfect. I think I sent you the enrollment form on one of the many emails I sent you. If you could just fill that out, and I will make sure that they're, what is your son's name?
His name is Matthew, and he's 12.
Matthew. Okay, we'll make sure that Matthew is put into one of the groups.
Okay. Is there a charge associated with it?
No charge. No, and we're really thankful that all of you will be taking the time to facilitate. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you want to schedule a time to talk to me separately, we can do that.
No, my apologies. I didn't realize I haven't gotten to all my emails yet. It's been a little crazy with learning to be a homeschool teacher to a middle schooler, and we're learning the Declaration of Independence. So to have a dyslexic read the King's English is quite interesting. F's are S's, and he's trying to decode all those things, and it's been a long week.
There's I don't know if you can find it to watch for free, but Ken Burns, who is a famous documentary maker in the United States, created an extraordinary documentary on, I think it's called the Putney School in Vermont, where it's a dyslexic specific school, and every student needs to memorize and recite the Gettysburg Address. And so you've got a school full of dyslexics going through that process. It's really interesting.
Wow.
So, and the beautiful thing is that, normally we do charge schools for all of this that we're talking about. We recognize this is an amazing opportunity for us to contribute. And we've had a couple of donors who have agreed to support this. So,
fantastic.
There are angels among us, that's for sure.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So if you, so just to wrap it up, Stephanie, you're going to get back to us on whether the ladies want to be in the same group or not. And
just a quick question. So as far as time, that's the only thing I'm really struggling with this homeschooling thing. I would prefer just to do my own program. I could teach them. I could do homeschool. That's no problem. But it's like doing the plan from the school. That's what I find just insane.
Yep.
So we're into the third week starting tomorrow.
Yep.
And so far we're quite behind. So I'm just a little bit still unclear what kind of, I don't really know how to make the decision, because if they're in the same group, then I'm kind of, getting it done at once.
Yeah, totally.
If
it's fine by me, you just have to talk to Grace.
Sienna gives her okay for that. But
Hi, Sienna. I can't see you, but I hear you.
Dun, dun, dun.
So yeah, no, timing is a huge issue, and look, and honestly, and you know,
But this is more important to us. Quite honestly, I think this is way more.
well,
It's valuable, I can say, is what I think. I think they're going to get a lot from this. I've looked through the materials so far, and I'm extremely excited.
well, I'm going to give Sienna the best quote to say to mom next time she needs something. Mom, don't let school get in the way of my education.
I'm trying so hard not to do that.
I know.
I am, for
Trust
sure.
me. Trust me. I'm going through the exact same thing. It's like a full-time job. The school has somehow outsourced a substitute teacher named Dean and Sally. And they just throw a ton of stuff and they're like, you and your parents will figure it out. I'm like, oh, good. Thank God I don't have a job or anything. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Exactly. I don't have anything else to do. So I'm
just think about it.
I'm not sure how to make the decision. If I'll think about it.
Okay, and also we could do the same thing, you know, as Claire, if you want. I mean, if the ladies want to have, you know, their own time, their own instructor, and they've got enough mom time as much as they adore mom, you know, we can you guys just have a family meeting and let us know what you want to do, and we'll accommodate for sure.
How many more leaders or facilitators do you need?
Well, if we had 3 to 4, we'd be golden.
Excuse me. It's I just want to let you know we are missing one of our facilitators. I got confused because there's video and then one person was calling in. Yep. It looks like, so that's why. She wrote me this morning. I think she had a problem. So we do have one more. Beautiful. That I will talk to personally to update her on what's happening. But as you said, we do need more.
Yeah, and ideally, I'm sorry?
I'm quite happy to do more than one class. That wouldn't be difficult for me time-wise.
Thank you. And, you know, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No, I was just saying, wow.
Nothing, sorry, carry on.
You must be like Superwoman.
It is. Well, those are, you know, the Swedes. I mean, they got dyslexia built into their entire ethos, from their royal family down to Fjallraven, down to, I mean, you know, she can't help but to be outstanding in dyslexic because she's in Sweden. You know, what's it?
No, I gave up work to support the children when we moved here. I gave up my business and have been looking after the children mostly, just because trying to get their schoolwork done was more or less impossible with both me and my husband working full time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they both have difficulties, so it's necessary. Is
your husband Swede?
Yes. No, he's English, but he works for IKEA of Sweden. He's design engineer, so he works at IKEA head office. That's why we're in Sweden. IKEA, which is like the most prolific dyslexic inventor of all time, of entrepreneur of all time. Absolutely, yeah. Oh my gosh. My husband has dyslexia, both my children have it, so, you know, I don't the only one. Well, Claire, just remember that nobody's perfect, okay? Yeah, I'm left out. I know. We like you. We like you. We love you. It's okay. You know, it's you didn't get the gift, but that's okay. So we have another Zoom with parents. So I'm going to hop over to that. But Katie is Superwoman. So if there are any follow-up questions, please let us know.
Yep, I wrote down a couple of little things too. But Stephanie, if you have more people, definitely let me know. That would be great. And make your final decision if you want to split the girls or not. I totally understand. I get it. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I'm so grateful that you're able to offer time to do this. It means the world to us. It means the world to the kids that will benefit as well.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. See you soon. Bye. Bye.
I'm also going to say goodbye, guys, because I'm on the parents' meeting also.
All right. Sounds great. Katie, do we start a new one or we stay here?
No, we're starting a new one.
All right. So we drop
In
this.
calendar. You got to get off, and we're getting back on.
All right. So let's end this and stop the recording, and then we'll figure out how to send it to folks that didn't make it.
That's perfect.
Thank you, Katie.